Let me ask you this. Would you rather be one of the top black preachers in the whole country, one of the top black legislators in the whole country, have a 400-man militia, or have your own island and set up your own government? What if I told you a black man did all of this before the year 1900? Are you surprised that you never learned about this in school? Today we're going to learn into the life of Tunis G Campbell, the black king that you never even heard about. Tunis Gullet Campbell was born April 1st, 1812 in Middlebrook, New Jersey. His father was a well-off blacksmith, and at only 5 years old, he was sent to an Episcopal school in Babylon, New York. He was the only black student there, and at the age of 18, they was planning on him to go to Liberia as a part of the whole American Colonization Society and be a missionary. But he decided, why would I go to Africa when there's black people still in slavery in America? He wrote, in the year of 1832, I formed an anti-colonization society, and then pledged myself never to leave this country until every slave was free on American soil, unless I went to learn something or to help secure their liberation. After school, he joined the African Methodist Episcopal Church, or the AME Church, and he went around the North building schools and lecturing against slavery and preaching to the people. Because of this, on multiple occasions his life was threatened, and one time he said he even almost died. In the 1840s, he worked at the Howard Hotel in New York, one of the most famous and popular hotels at the time. And he really realized that hotels was one of the one industries that would actually allow black people to come in and make any type of real money. He worked his way up from a cook to a waiter to a head waiter, and in 1848 he published Hotel Keepers, Head Waiters, and Housekeepers Guide, a handbook pretty much detailing how hotel managers could best manage their hotel and make sure that everything was running smoothly. And he did everything in a very militaristic manner and very organized. Keep that in your mind. At this point, this was the first handbook of its kind, and not only did he talk about how to run a hotel, but since he had so much experience with white people, he had to really teach white people how they could actually deal with their black employees, and teaching them that if you actually treat people like humans, they'll do a little bit better work. They won't just be doing and going through the motions. But at first, the book didn't even really go anywhere. He said, the principal difficulty to be surmounted was to overcome the prejudice of the men themselves. A lot of people wasn't finna take no book from no black man trying to tell them how to run their business, but eventually when somebody actually tried it, it took off. His book spread all across the country, teaching hotel after hotel how to really get things done in a timely and organized manner. But this was just the beginning. When the Civil War started, he was literally sending letters to Abraham Lincoln telling him like he had a whole plan lined out for how black America could go forward and become self-sufficient. We didn't want to be mixed in, we didn't want to be relying on them. We just needed a little bit of help so we could get on our feet and then leave us alone. But Lincoln them, they wasn't going for it at first. Why would we give black people guns? As soon as we give y'all guns, y'all gonna turn against us. See, they think that we think like them. But that's not really what happened, and eventually, when things started getting a little bad, they actually called on Tunis to raise up 4,000 black men to be a part of the troops. How many black men you know today can go out and find 4,000 troops? Tunis G Campbell was doing that in the 1860s. Even before the Civil War was over, he was sent down to South Carolina to take part in the Port Royal experiment. In Port Royal, over 10,000 enslaved Africans, formerly enslaved Africans, had been left by the pigs alone. And now they was trying to see how we would do alone and taking care of ourselves and each other. Tunis was sent down there to help really educate and organize, and he did a good job at it. But he didn't like it too much because he still had to deal with a lot of white overhead. After General William T. Sherman's march to the sea and they had took over pretty much all of Georgia, they had to decide, what are we going to do with all these black folks? We got all these free people and we definitely don't want them to be mixed up with us. So what are we going to do? William Sherman met up with some of the leaders of Savannah, Georgia, and they told him that all we need is the land and give us the equipment to work the land. In a few years, we'll be out of your hair and we'll be self-sufficient when you have to worry about us. Tunis G Campbell was sent down to take care of some of the islands like St. Catharines and Sapelo, and on St. Catharines, he put together his own society. They made a government with him at the top, of course, but they also had a Senate and a House of Representatives with their own courts, even his own militia of 400 men. One of the first laws they passed on the island was that no white person could even set foot on the island. But if black folks had these whole governments and islands to ourselves in the Civil War, after the Civil War, then where are they at now? Well, of course, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, and Andrew Johnson replaced him because he was the vice president. But the thing about Andrew Johnson, he was a racist from the South. Abraham Lincoln had used him on his ticket to pretty much get more voters, but now that Lincoln was gone, Johnson was back in there, and he wasn't going to punish his buddies the same way that Abraham Lincoln was doing it. So how we had all these lands and this 400,000 acres, Andrew Johnson said, nah, all that going back to the pigs who had it before the Civil War. And as this is happening, the white folks starting to get more and more bold because now they have the government back on their side. The government always been on their side, but they have them even more on their side now, and they starting to come on the island and start violence and things like that. Tunis even traveled up to Augusta to talk to some of the leaders of Georgia to try and get some help. They told him that it really wasn't nothing they could do. But he was able to find a plantation in Belleville, McIntosh County, about 1,250 acres, and he was able to secure it for about $14.50 an acre, or about $250 an acre today. Him and all of the other people who was a part of his community, they put their money together to buy it, but it was all tore up and all burnt down, but still they did what they had to do to establish another society. Once he got in McIntosh, him and his son started to actually become political leaders within McIntosh at the state level. He was elected into a state office, but they told him, hold up, we said y'all could vote, but we never said y'all could be in office. So the Georgia state legislature was trying to tell all these black people who done got fairly elected by other black people that nah, y'all could have voted, but just because y'all voted black people in, don't mean that y'all can actually be in our offices. So Tunis, he took it back up north where his white friends and all that stuff at, and he told them, if them Georgia folks don't let us into a state office, y'all don't need to let them into the national office. They actually agreed, and this is one of the things that actually was a catalyst for the 15th Amendment. Once he got back to the Senate, even with a lot of people showing obvious danger towards him, he spoke up for black people and tried to push a lot of black first laws, but of course they didn't get through in the white populated majority system. Out of all of the black people who were elected to Georgia that year, a lot of the white senators actually said that Tunis was one of the most outspoken and also one of the most well-read of the whole group. But who cares what they say? Eventually, he was just making too much noise within the Senate, and they was going to try and kill him. But he knew that they was going to try and kill him, and he was telling other people that, hey, they coming for me, but I got my people, and we not going for it. So, of course, what they did, you can't put somebody into slavery, you can't kill them. What you do? Put them in a new slavery. So they made us some fake charges of things like false imprisonment and had him locked up into hard labor or slavery for over a year. Of course, the courts barely even let him defend himself, and his wife had to do a lot of the hard work and traveling back and forth from Darien to Savannah and all type of stuff just to try and get him free. After 2 years of hard labor, he finally got his freedom. And once he got out, the white Democrats told him that he could either lead the state or he could keep being a preacher, but he had to listen to what they told him to preach, and they'll give him $35,000 or about $1 million today. Now I know a lot of black folks who took that route back then and will probably still take it today. It's a lot of y'all still taking it today. But Tunis G Campbell, he said he was either going to struggle or die, like a real African should. At this point, he decided, y'all not finna kill me. I'm not finna be no paid coon, so I'm going to just go ahead and go back up north. He got to D.C. and he published Sufferings of the Reverend T. G. Campbell and His Family in Georgia in 1877. Not much is known about his life after this because he published the book right when he got back to the north. He transitioned in Boston on December 4th, 1891. All black people of all ages need to know more about the stories of people like Tunis G Campbell instead of knowing so much about people like Abraham Lincoln. That's my goal, to create institutions where we can educate ourselves, because I know we can't rely on white power structure institutions to teach us how to get up from under the same oppression that they benefit from. So what I'm trying to build here at the Community Teacher is a way to educate billions online and in person in ways that have never been seen before. If you want to help me with that journey, make sure you subscribe and leave a like. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Peace.